quick to show the new shrinker stretcher foot controlled stand I built. Bought the shrinker stretchers for a project that I have on the 71 F100. I got to build new door jambs for it, and you know, I've wanted these before, you know, for other projects and just didn't have it. Just kind of made do without it, and it kind of sucked, and you know, really struggled through with the projects and stuff. So I was like, you know what? No, I'm buying one. I'm buying the set. So I bought the set, and then as I started doing research on them and how they, you know, really to use them and stuff, everybody's using foot. You know, serious people that were doing this were using the foot controls and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, you know, once I kind of took it out of the box and looked at it, how it works and stuff, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So the whole point of this was, you know, like, okay, so I started shopping for, you know, a foot controlled stand and looking at how they were built and how they were designed and stuff. And I'm like, okay, super simple. You know, I mean, realistically, it's not a lot of moving parts. It's just, you need some adjustment and you need to get control to pull down on it. And it was like all of the foot controlled stands, you know, they're starting at like $250 if you have just a single, you know, yeah, $150 for just a single, you know, stretcher, and then you got to change out your teeth all the time and stuff. But you know, I was like, no, I have all the materials to build this thing, so why would I? You know, and it's like super simple, so I don't understand why I would buy one. You know, I like to make things, so it's kind of like, it's just like scratching my head going, huh, $250 for the cheapest decent looking one, or $300, $400. I think I saw them up to, you know, $600 for, and I think those came with the shrinker stretchers at that point, but it was like still like, wow, you know, I'm buying this so I can make my parts cheaper and not, you know, be, you know, buying all the sheet metal pre-stamped and done and stuff. So at those prices, when you start to get up there, it's like, how many projects do I have to do before I can justify spending that type of money on a stand? You know, and it's, you know, sometimes you sit there and you're like, it's not worth it. I'm just buying the stand, you know, spending the money or whatever. And then other times you're like, that's ridiculous. I'm not spending, it's a matter of principle. I'm not spending that type of money for what that is. And that's kind of where it boiled down to me. It was like, I can build this. I know I can. And there's no, I literally had everything except for these little adjustment pieces here. You know, just a few little hardware pieces I didn't have. I had the threaded rod from a different project. I had the square tube. The square tube was left over from the flatbed project that I built the engine stand out of, and I still had more of it left over. This heavy duty plate at the bottom was some free metal I got from a racking system we were throwing away at work. And then all this other stuff is just scrap angle iron pieces that I had left over from other projects. So it's like, you know, like, why not? And angle iron, the thing is like, there's so many things that are made out of angle iron that you don't even realize. You just kind of like, oh, it's a bed frame, oh, it's this, or oh, it's that. And, you know, so like, we cleaned out my family's place after my parents passed, and it was like they had saved all these old bed frames. It's all just angle iron. That's all it is. And so I was like, if anything, I'll just recycle it, but like, it's angle iron. So I just brought it home, knocked all the bed attachment pieces to it off of it, and, you know, threw it in my angle iron stash. So, you know, things like that. So anyways, not to get off on a different tangent, but just trying to show you what I ended up doing with my shrinker stretcher stand. I know there's a number of these that have been built on you know, and showed on YouTube, so I'm not sitting here saying that it's anything spectacular or special or whatever, but I just wanted to show how I did it and why I did it the way I did it, and then also, you know, show the video of the actual process of building it. So if anybody is, you know, looking at doing one for themselves, they can see what I did, why I did it, and, you know, maybe it'll help them decide how they're going to do theirs and stuff. You know, and then also just the materials I use. Like I said, angle iron, you know, scrap pieces of angle iron, some scrap square tube. You could use round tube, you could use all kinds of stuff. I mean, I used angle iron, I used square tube, I used round pipe, rectangle tube. Even the foot pedals are, you know, diamond plate, aluminum diamond plate, just polished out. So, the main points that I was trying to do for mine was that I didn't want my foot pedals very high. When I even looked at the ones that you could buy, it seemed like the foot pedals were kind of up here. And I'm like, you're starting to get to that point where it's uncomfortable to get up here. I can't vouch that, or you know, verify that they're that high. Maybe somebody out there, if they bought one, can say they are. But I was like, no, I don't want to be, you know, I want my foot to be able to rest. I mean, you can see right there when I start to rest my foot on it, it starts to go down. I want to be able to have my foot rest on it at a level that's comfortable before that the teeth start to engage. So once those teeth start to engage, then I have to be like, oh, okay, I got to make sure my leg is not, you know, pulling it down. But I can rest my leg on there and I can go ahead and use it. And the springs that I used are truck, they're 67 through 72 Ford F100 hood hinge springs that are worn out. They don't hold the hood up anymore, but they're perfect for this because they have enough spring left in them that they pull, and it literally is like a trampoline. When you push your foot down, it pulls it literally pushes your foot back up. So they're perfect springs for this. Plus I have an abundance of them because I'm doing the truck project. So the other thing was the footprint for the shop. I wanted this thing to be as small as possible so I can stick it, shove it off in a corner. When I'm not using it, I don't even notice it. I just completely forget about it. And then when I need it, pull it out real quick, go to town, do what I need to do. You go back and forth between the two shrinker stretchers. This design is, you know, everybody's got this design. This is not something special. I just wanted it very compact, very small, and be able to utilize it and then throw it in the corner and forget about it and not be tripping over it and be in my way and stuff. And so the footprint is only 22 inches squared. So that bottom beam going that way is only 22 inches. That bottom beam going that way is only 22 inches. The foot pieces stick out just a little bit, but they're only sticking out about a half an inch. So I'm only still gaining an inch on either side. So we're still underneath 2 feet, only at 23 inches, you know, wide. And then all of the pieces I designed, I just tried to make them look a little more organic than, you know, just angle iron and stuff. So just rounding off the corners and making everything flow in a design that, you know, was appealing, you know, pleasing to the eye as far as just the contours. There's no sharp edges. I rounded off the bottom of the angle iron piece here, that's the shelf, because I figured if I drop the piece of metal and I bend down and come back up, you don't want that to be a sharp edge, you know. So things like that, just, you know, thinking about it. I don't know how many times I've, you know, dropped something underneath a table or a bench or something like that, and then, you know, you stand back up and you catch the sharpest part on there with the back of your head, and it's just miserable. So I utilized my folding workbench over there on the wall. It was absolutely wonderful for this project, and that's exactly what I built it for. Was, you know, I was able to lift this thing up onto there. I pulled down my welding cloth off that top roll over the table and threw this thing up on the table, completely welded it all back up once I had all the spot welds in place. You know, and if you stick around and watch the video of the build, then you'll see all that. If this is all you're tuning in for, you know, you just want to see what it looks like and stuff like that, and then what the materials I used, you know, now you're gonna go off and build your own because you can see what it is. That's cool too. I don't have any problem with that. I do that a lot of times with people's videos. I'll just go look and see how they did it, what the material they used real quick, and, you know, and not always stick around for the build because I can pretty much figure out a lot of the stuff. If you're somebody that wants to see the build and stuff like that, then I'll go ahead and roll the video, the tape of it, and, you know, some of it'll be fast forwarded so the video's not an hour long, or at least try to not be an hour long. You know, just trying to make it look cool at the same time, make it functional and make it, you know, comfortable and fun to use. And I'm really looking forward to this because, like I said, I have an F100 door jamb I gotta fix, and it probably won't be the last one because they were notorious for rusting out there. If you want to stick around and watch how it was put together, I'll try to make it, like I said, I'll try to edit it so it's not super long and super drawn out. and everything, but at the same time show you how it kind of went together and what the processes were. If I stop it where a couple spots where I'm talking about what I'm doing at that point and I repeat what I'm saying right now, then I apologize. I didn't quite know how I was going to edit the video at the time of doing it. If I was going to just, you know, roll into building it or have it finished and shoot this video at the beginning where I kind of walked around and talked about it. To me, you know, this is kind of pretty simple. If it shows you what you need and you roll on, you shot the video and you roll on, good for you. Glad it helped you. Hope you have a good day. We'll catch you on the next one. If you want to stick around, video start now. Alright, I got some angle iron here. Kind of drawn a little shape of how I want it to be on here. It's black on black, so it's hard to see. But I can see it if the camera's not picking it up. I'm going to chop it off right here. And basically that's going to be where this mounts to the top of the post. And I got a nice little design to go around this. Kind of shape it out and stuff, and then, you know, give it room for the bar to go up and down behind it. So this is really thick angle iron. Got a good chunk of, you know, strength there for this. So that should not bend no matter how I shape it, you know, and conform it to be what I want it to be. That should be a really good strong brace welded to that square tube, or even just bolted to that square tube, so as the upright. So basically I need to make another one of these for the opposite side. And this was just a different project that was left over, you know, kind of Had 2 pieces of angle iron welded up together, but don't need it anymore. So reutilizing the angle iron for this. All right, time for some laser cleaning again. Get these angle iron pieces cleaned up. Clean up that paint. Little trick to make sure your post is coming up straight, regardless of what your floor is doing, is to take your magnets, put them on there so that they create the 90-degree turn. Take your square. It helps if they're metal or if they're steel versus aluminum squares. So the magnet's holding that there too. And so now I have this one trued up to this side, this one trued up to this side, and I have magnets on that side and that side holding them in place. So everything is true to that spot now, and it doesn't matter what the floor is doing, it is true to that base. Alright, so I've come up with this little piece for the shrinker stretcher to sit on. I'm going to make them both the same. All the black will be removed, so it'll just have this nice little shelf that it sits on, like that. And this will come out from the post will be right here basically. It'll be welded or bolted to the post right there, and that'll come towards you. And that way this, I'm not a fan of any type of jagged edges and stuff. Like if you were to bend down and you came back up and that corner was still there, catch your head on it. So cut that off. Over here, same thing, just round off the corner, and then come back here and just make it, you know, flow similar shape, you know, just the whole way around. So it'll kind of look like a offset teardrop, water drop or something like that, as far as a piece of metal. But that way it gives it a nice smooth rounded look all the way around it, and also a nice smooth rounded feel all the way around it. So actually cut it out and make it. So it should be fun. So just a rough cut of getting that shape. Now I'll take the flap disc and I'll just shape it around it. I'll roll the edges of it, everything like that, and just clean it up, make it a lot smoother. This one's going to take a lot more chopping and probably some pie cuts to get into this corner here and stuff. And I may not do that on camera. As you saw, it kind of jerks it. I'm not able to hold this on camera and make those cuts and stabilize it. So I'm probably gonna have to go put it in the vice grip and do that. But I can switch this out real quick and show you the curve. And I was gonna say earlier, I am so glad I built this folding table. This workbench table that It's on rollers, it's on casters. It folds up onto the wall. You know, I got a winch on the wall that pulls it up and puts it away for me. I don't have to sit there and struggle with it. It's such a great workbench table because I can work wherever I want to for the most part in the shop, and just roll it and lock the wheels and keep it in place. And you know, if you haven't seen that video yet of the workbench, it's you know, this is not my idea. I just modified what somebody else had done, and I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. I'm really happy with the workbench, and it's going to get abused, it's going to get used, and that's exactly what it was for. So as I said, these curves are just to make it look a little bit nicer and to get rid of any sharp edges. You know, this is going to be jetting out. It's something that if you dropped a piece of metal, you drop something, you reach down to grab it, and you come back up, you don't want your head hitting that jagged, you know, that jagged spot. So it's just something to make it look nicer, and something to also, it actually does have function where your head's going to have a glancing blow off of that versus that digging your head, you know, stabbing your head with that. And yes, I've had it happen. So there's reason for it. Anytime you can soften the edges of something, I always take the time to do it, just because it seems like it's, you know, the one edge you forget to soften, and then that's the one that gouges your shin, or, you know, slices your arm open or something. Right, so pretty simple, just made it a little cone shape thing, but it's nice and smooth. There's no rough edges. There's nothing that's gonna cut your arm. You can't even scratch your arm with it. So that's the whole point, is just, you know, no jagged corners. This thing still has plenty of meat of metal to sit on. That's not a problem whatsoever. And push it out towards the edge even more. That's why I haven't bolted it down yet, because I just want to see kind of how it sits and where it sits. Then I'll just take and, like I said, I'll cut this piece out right here. Get rid of all that. So if you're wondering how to cut organic, you know, shapes with a grinder, especially in thick metal, I mean, that's not thin metal at all. Basically, I want to cut this curve out like this S curve. So I just chopped off all the dead material, all the black excess, just made a straight cut straight across from the closest point that I want to start curving, and then I made a straight cut in this way, and then I'm just making relief cuts all the way down it like this. And I didn't connect those on purpose because I wanted to show on camera. You know, it's just one of those things where, you know, if you've never done it, you don't know. So, and you know, as far as trying to cut organic shapes in really thick metal, the blade's not gonna, that cutting disc is not gonna curve. You're not gonna be able to cut all the way through. You're gonna have all these gouges in the part you want to save. So this is about the only way that I know to do this. And then you take your flap disc afterwards and you shape it just like I did all this stuff. But you get all these relief cuts in. Now you can take your blade and cut across these, and everything will drop out as you cut across and cut into here, and, you know, reach this. I should be able to cut from right here all the way to there and reach that relief cut, and those pieces will just drop out, and it'll give your blade room to breathe when those pieces drop away. So, little tip if you didn't know. If you did, cool, good for you. This is just tacked on here right now, so it's just in its spot, at least where I think it's gonna go. And there's that sitting on it. So just a simple little pedestal plate for it. I think it's gonna come out just a little bit more to the edge. Ouch, that's hot. Watch your spot welds, because there's one right there and I touched it. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, that's all it needs, just a little pedestal plate to sit on. you need this clear in the back so this can come down, the bar can, so that little organic S-curve there is fine. I'll plate the top so stuff can't fall down the hole. And then I just make an opposite one on this side. It'll come out and sit over here, and then I gotta make my pedals. All right, so got the holes drilled. Now it's just a matter of lining things up. Bolt these in place finger tight for now, and keep building the pedals and the rest of it. Make sure this works and it's the way I want it before I build the other side. So, good enough for now. Should be able to utilize that to now build the pedals, the pull down bar, and yeah, just keep working on it. I'm excited to use this thing. I think it's going to be fun to use. Just after watching the videos of people what they were making and just messing around bending stuff, I was like, wow, that's cool. I mean, I've seen these and known about them. I just never spent the money on it and stuff. And you know, it's definitely something that's going to be, you know, cool to have and be able to utilize. So a quick walk around of it, just sitting on the pedestal, ready to move on to the foot controls and get this sucker working. So just got to see how much of this actually is motion. It looks like it's just from that point right there. Yeah, so work on that, get things situated, get this mounted, and get the pedals working, and then work on the other side. Alright, so this is what I've come up with so far. I have an old hood, forward hood spring that's on the foot pedal there for return, and that lets me bottom out as far as I want to, and I don't believe I'm overmaxing that spring. It's pretty stretched out, that's why I'm using it. It's an old hood spring that doesn't keep the hood up anymore. So then I have this threaded rod with a eye hole, one of those things right there, eye hole, and a pin through it with a cotter pin with this little half round pipe or whatever you want to call it. It's flattened on both sides with a notch in it so that pin can go through there. And then this one's going to come up here and it's going to catch another one as well, and I have this adjuster so I can get it dialed in. Right now where it's sitting, it should be pretty close to being able to bottom this thing out and pinch it tight. So this pipe right here that I had in my scrap bin, it does fit my handle, the handle that came with mine, like perfectly. So that's going to slide down over that. It's not a very thick tube, thick wall tube. So I don't want to use it as what I'm pulling against, but I'm going to use this because this sleeves to this perfectly. So if you see, that sleeves perfectly onto there. So that'll be what I'll make the bracket, or the piece that comes up and comes out and catches that loop. So I'll have to drill a hole through here. I'll have to notch it so this can slide through, and then a pin will slide through all that, and that'll be my pivot point. So that pulls down on there. Yeah, so need to cut this tube down and then cut this one in half, because this is the only piece I have left of this one. And that'll create the sleeve, but then I'll have the other half for the stretcher. But anyways, I'm just trying to work on the details. The details are hard to show on camera because you're sitting there, you know, just trying to find all the parts and pieces, and then two, you're sitting there just adjusting, trying to figure out where it goes. All right, so this is kind of the thought process here, is that this loop will be caught by this pin that has a little lock cotter on the other side of it. You can pick up these kits at Harbor Freight, Lowe's, anything, any place that sells hardware. But like this one down here, I want it to be in the center. So I need to cut a notch back into here. And so what I've done is I went ahead and drilled a hole all the way through. So now I'll take my grinder cutter and just cut this back like this, and that will give this thing room to then slide down in there, and that pin will catch it, and then that'll be centered on there. So when it pulls directly down, you know, instead of right now it's twisting. So when it pulls, it wants to twist. So this will be a direct center piece, and it'll pull, you know, down perfectly then. So just trying to show what I was, you know, the thought process of what this is going to happen. And then this piece isn't going to be this long. It's going to be probably cut at about 1.5 inches long, and then it'll be tack welded to the sleeved piece that's on the arm, or what's left of the arm in there. So anyways, back to it. All right, so everything's just kind of together right now. This isn't even tacked. These aren't even tacked together. They're just sleeved onto each other, but these are where they should be. The adjustment's kind of been done. So pushing the pedal all the way down, you can see that it is doing the function. It's moving like it's supposed to, and the jaws are coming together and closing like they should. All the parts and pieces are pretty much just threaded rod, sleeve threaded pieces, tube, 3/4 inch tube. This one sleeves the 3/4 inch, so it's 3/4 inch inside diameter. An old Ford F100 F250 hood spring. I have another the other spring for the other side, so I'll just flip that one over to that side. Piece of angle iron for the foot pedal. Another piece of tube here, you know, made exactly the same way I made this one up here. So it's got the catch point here. You know, just a piece of, just a bolt through the backside with 2 washers in between the middle to give it space so it's not catching. Another piece of angle iron just welded to the post, you know, about the length of the spring, so that the spring isn't always under tension. It's just kind of hanging here at this point. The angle iron I used already had pre-drilled holes in it, and I just smoothed it out. 3x3 tube, 5x2 rectangle tube, and then the 3x3 tube coming up for the post. Another chunk of angle iron for this piece. I mean, it's all just you know, coming together really simple in a lot of ways. It's just once you get it to this point, then you got to figure out all your, you know, your pull point and how long you need everything. So now I just need to reverse all this to the other side, and then obviously take it all apart and finish up all my welds and paint it and all that fun stuff. Okay, so here's an update. Pretty much everything is done. Both sides are functional. Both sides are bolted on. All the hardware is done. All the figuring out the, you know, distance that those need to be. Even made these little grippy aluminum pedals for the foot pedals and stuff. As I said, the springs are springs off of a Ford truck hood hinge. They're pretty worn out and stuff. They don't hold up the hood anymore, so they're perfect use for these. This is just a 1/4 inch threaded rod running all the way down. All the little adapter pieces to make it work. These are just round eye holes that with a pin going through it, cotter pin holding it. Pretty much all the little parts and pieces were made either from pipe or angle iron or square tube. So, kind of gave it a nice little organic feel to it with the rounded curves and rounded edges. And it's not just to look good, it's to, that's not just what I was trying to do. It's more about, your hands are going to be right here. If you drop the metal and you bend down, you come back up, if you hit this, you want it to be a smoother, piece, not a jagged angle iron piece. And then I just kind of tried to, create that look throughout the whole piece, where everything's just kind of rounded off and, not squared too much. So probably these foot pieces, the bottom T will probably get some type of treatment as well to, kind of give it the same feel as what everything else is looking like. So, just trying to clean it up a little bit, make it look a little bit better than just square, straight pieces everywhere. Also protect your, shins, so as you come in, stuff like that. These are not gonna hurt you and stuff. So, not that you're gonna come up here and try and kick it, but if you're walking past and for some reason you're not paying attention, I hate having those type of jagged edges sticking out. So, got to go through and weld up everything. Everything is just spot welded right now. There's not one part of this that is solidly welded. Well, this top plate, okay, take that back. The top plate's solidly welded, but everything else is just spot welds everywhere. So I gotta break it all apart, sit here and weld everything up, get it all cleaned up, get it ready to be painted, and then pretty much done. I mean, little details here and there, but for the most part, this thing is a very small footprint. I think those bottom posts, if I remember correctly, were like 22 inches long, maybe. Those bottom T pieces, I'll have to measure that again. But overall though, it's a very, very compact piece of equipment that is going to be really cool to start using and practice with. And for now, it's going to continue to get busted apart and welded up and finished up. So all the mock-up is done now. I'm just going to go ahead, I busted it all down, put everything in a bin over there, got everything disassembled, got everything cleaned up. I curved off these edges here, both the feet on this side and this side, curved those. These I'm going to leave probably just blank like this for now. Haven't decided, because technically the feet, or the pedals come down and hit those, and they're kind of like a stop, and so I don't want to do anything to change where they're at for the moment. Maybe that's a modification I have to make after using it for a while and stuff. So right now I'm going to go ahead and bust out all these welds, get everything tacked, or everything's tacked, and now I'm going to go ahead and get everything burnt in and done. So it's ready to go. I got welding cloth rolled out from my fabric holder, and it just rolls out and spreads right over the top of my workbench, so I don't burn my table here, burn my workbench. I'm sure there might be a few burn throughs here, but this stuff is great if you've never used it. It's just a silicone coated fiberglass woven cloth. So pretty sure you can get that at any welding supply if you don't know where to get it from. But anyways, like I said, go ahead and get this going, get it burnt in, and try to get this thing finished up. So if you stuck around to this long, I hope that you've learned something. I hope that it helped you, figure out what you're doing, whether you're going to buy one or build one. And, I hope that you enjoyed the video and that it helped you, figure out what things you might want to do if you're gonna design one and build one for yourself. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any stuff. I'll definitely try to answer any questions. I try to respond to anybody and everybody that says anything on any of my videos. Right now the channel is super small, so there's not a lot of comments and a lot of stuff, so it's pretty easy to keep up with, but that's all right. I don't have any problem with that. It's all about trying to put things out there that hopefully will just pass on the appreciation for what YouTube has been for me and everybody that's done videos and done helpful tips and videos and stuff like that. So anyways, hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll be back with another video hopefully soon.